That's one way to tell Sam Darnold he needs a shower, you stinky bastard. Welcome to the real winners and losers for NFL Week 17. Sam Darnold, he has earned that locker room celebration. Minnesota's 14-2 and will fight for the 1 seed in the NFC next week in primetime against the Lions. And while nobody expected to see Darnold being hoisted like a trophy at the end of this season, you can always expect to see a soaking KOC in the locker room. A soaking cock is the whole reason you go into the locker room. The Bengals broke my heart. Jayden Daniels might be the most clutch rookie quarterback we've ever watched. Saquon Barkley breaks 2,000 yards and the Colts choked, almost as hard as the Giants. And on Monday night, don't forget nobody, and I mean nobody, beats Goff. But Jake Bates might just dry hump the turf to completion. Why'd the broadcast have to do him like that, Jake? I'm sorry. That's the funniest shit I've ever seen. And Jake Bates did his part for turf maintenance and fertilized the grass himself. But before I reveal the real winners and losers from Week 17, I've got the Blop 10 plays. 10 plays so unsavory, not even Kevin O'Connell can fix them. Blop 10, Zach Orr got a little too excited for his defense after this 4th down stop. If my defensive coordinator doesn't end up on the injury report, I don't want him calling plays. Blop 9, the Bengals not getting flagged for the exact same celebration Chiefs receiver Xavier Worthy got penalized for. Both teams promoting gun violence won this week, so if Bo Nix doesn't walk down the Chiefs sideline on Sunday and finger gun execute every player on their roster, the Denver Broncos won't make the playoffs. Flop 8, Iron Eagle making a Stranger Things joke during the broadcast.
Somebody's like tuning into Netflix right now and thinking the kids from Stranger Things got really old.
And then Noah Eagle doing this impression of his dad.
I would get home and it would be, clean your room. And I would say, not today!
Nobody talks about it, but these are the positive parts of nepotism.
Breakfast denied! And I'd say, I want some eggs!
For every Jack Collinsworth, there's a Noah Eagle. Fly, Eagle, fly.
Then I'd get grounded. That's usually how it would go.
Quack, quack.
Blop 7, video game Will Levis knocks out the Jags mascot on the big board. Jacksonville really needs a little higher self-esteem, don't you think? You shouldn't have Jackson DeVille getting KO'd on your own video board. Fortunately, only about 12 people were there to witness it. Blop 6, Christian Binford Tools is proud to present Aaron Rodgers with an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty for hitting Benford out of bounds late after throwing a second pick. Even the referee had to laugh. This is just a quarterback who's trying to check everything off of his bucket list before he retires. And I respect it. Blop 5, the Bucs scored off a block punt with a duck on the field. It's the Bucs' good luck duck, and he shall remain their mascot for the rest of the season.
Quack, quack.
And somehow that duck wasn't even the best duck on the field. That, of course, was Bucky Irving.
But it was a good luck duck.
It's not a good luck duck. Good luck ducks aren't good luck, bro. They're weird. Like, I hate ducks, bro.
Blop 4, the Jets walked out to Gangsta's Paradise. Oh God, I feel so old and white saying Gangsta's Paradise. Really emphasizing the A. They walked out to that song for some reason. That song was popular back in 1995 when the Jets were 3-13, so this is actually pretty fitting as their anthem. As I walk through the meadowlands in the shadow of death, I take a look at my team and realize there's nothing left. 'Cause I've been blasting life for so long that even my mama thinks that my mind is gone. R.I.P. Coolio. Blop 3. Somebody's gotta ask the question, why are the Vikings defenders watching so many movies about teens? Between this and Ray Gun, I'm convinced the Vikings spend about half their practice on choreography. And somehow it's working. Blop 2, with the game on the line, Kyler Murray threw a goal line pass right off of Trey McBride's head. And it blopped into the air for former Colorado Buffalo Akello Weatherspoon to snatch it before it hit the ground. Nice to see at least one Buff played well on Saturday. And Blop 1, Kenny Pickett became the first quarterback in the Super Bowl era to have a football throw him. This used to happen all the time. back when the NFL was a man's game and they played with medicine balls. This is also what happened to me the first time I ever swung a kettlebell. Blob 0, this snap that almost made the Falcons lose in regulation instead of overtime. They say the field is more compressed the closer you get to the end zone. So this might have actually been a stroke of genius, because Penix snuck in just the tip to Kyle's Pitts to tie the game on the next play and send it into overtime. But more on that in a bit. Losing football guy? Me. I had no idea Tua was hurt. I literally learned he wasn't playing when I checked the Dolphins-Browns score after the game. If anything happened in this game, I sure as shit didn't notice it on Red Zone. Tyler Huntley rushed for a touchdown, threw one, and kept the Dolphins' playoff hopes alive for one more week. Don't forget, today's episode is sponsored by Underdog. Use my code THAT'SGOOD if you want to play daily fantasy or in pick'em games. Underdog's rocking with me all season long. We're trying to get 10,000 signups. We're 650 signups away from hitting 5,000, which if we hit that by the end of next Sunday's games, I bring back the monkey tail beard for the playoffs. Just again, use my code THAT'SGOOD or link in the description when you sign up. Buccaneers versus Panthers had a ton of cool shit, including a duck. That's right, a duck. Mike Evans hauled in a couple touchdown passes and was just 3 yards shy of hitting the century mark. Cool shit, Mike. Which means Evans needs just 85 yards next week to keep his streak of 1,000-yard receiving seasons alive. This will be 11 if he gets it, and that is indeed cool shit. Bryce Young kept the theme of I'm not a bust alive and well with a jump pass to Adam Thielen. Cool shit. The beastly Bucky Irving remains the best rookie running back this season. This run set up that second Mike Evans TD. Bucky had 113 on the ground plus another 77 receiving. Cool shit. Bryce Young dropped a 40-yard FDR to Adam Thielen. Cool shit. Thielen showing us all he still has wheels. And yes, that's cool shit. But the coolest shit, there was a duck on the field. A duck! After those two Thielen TDs, the Panthers turned back into lame ducks, getting a punt block for a touchdown. Cool shit. More duck.
The duck is happy. It's wet.
I want some eggs!
Baker Mayfield threw 5 touchdowns in a must-win game for Tampa. All 5 were against the blitz. That's the most touchdown passes versus the blitz since 2022 Patrick Mahomes, the last time Patty won MVP. Cool shit!
That's some cool shit. Broken ankles and yokes.
Losers, prime time football. It started with the Packers shutting out the Saints on Monday night, followed by the bastardization of Christmas with those 2 blowouts. There can only be one bastard on Christmas, and his name is Jesus. What? He didn't know who his dad was. He didn't know. Technically, that's very accurate. The Seahawks and Bears 6-3 propofol disguised as entertainment on Thursday. And then it wrapped up with all the fun you'd experience during a simultaneous colonoscopy and endoscopy. That's right, the 13-9 Rams-Cardinals game on Saturday night was like being sedated while doctors shoved cameras through both orifices in your body. And they both found something that needs to be addressed. That said, Matthew Stafford is my winning game manager. Congrats, Matty Stafford. You're earning this honor 2 weeks in a row. 189 passing yards for the old gunslinger. No touchdowns, no interceptions, no sacks, no fucking fun, and most importantly, the win. The irony of Stat Padford being an elite game manager is not lost on me. Puka Nacua accounted for 129 of Stafford's 189 passing yards, and Kyron Williams only had 56 rushing yards in this game. The Rams feel like the only playoff-worthy team in the NFC West right now, and the 23 pressures and 4 sacks by their defense is a big reason why. The Rams' defense is so good at getting to the QB, they notch sacks without even touching the quarterback. Mahomes would have received a roughing the passer penalty here, but all other QBs need to worry about the Rams' ghost sacks. Winner, Netflix. The combo of exclusive Christmas games paid off heavily for Netflix, even though the games were terribly lopsided and uncompetitive. But if 115 million people will watch Dahmer, then a combined 50 million or so watching the Ravens and Chiefs put the Texans and Steelers in a freezer isn't surprising. The Ravens' 31-2 victory over the Texans averaged 24.3 million, while Kansas City's 29-10 win at Pittsburgh averaged 24.1. They peaked at 65 million, but that's counting someone who watches for just 1 minute. And while those are streaming records, that's actually down about 5 million viewers per game from 2023 for the TV broadcasts on Christmas. Losing religion, George Pickens, who wants to join the dark side. Now, his return was supposed to save Russell Wilson, and it didn't. Pickens has to be the most talented but also least consistent or streaky receiver in the league. As soon as he saw the devil magic live and in person, he was possessed. First, he had what would have been a touchdown blown dead by the officials. God forbid you let a receiver break a tackle in a very important game against the Chiefs. As soon as he saw how the NFL really works, he went straight to Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce in the post-game to beg them to bring him to Kansas City. Winners, the Chiefs' offensive line, which has been terrible all season. Mahomes was near perfect, going for 320, 3 touchdowns, 0 picks, as his line made him sackless. And somehow, a sackless Patrick Mahomes is still more of a man than me with my oversized testicles. That's not a brag. They are an eyesore. Seriously, the KC line allowed just 5 pressures against a TJ Watt-led defense. Oh God, we are fucked. We're so fucked, aren't we? We're watching them go to the Super Bowl. Winning defense, the Houston Texans, who are the only reason the Ravens didn't shut them out on Christmas. Tackling Derrick Henry in his own end zone should count for 20 points, honestly. And if it did, the Texans would have still lost by 11. The Texans look like the one playoff team right now in the most trouble heading into the postseason. Winning records, Lamar Jackson. I mentioned in Power Rankings this week that he surpassed Mike Vick for career rushing yards. That's very cool, but Lamar has 132 more attempts than Vick did. The impressive stat is actually Lamar having 31 more passing touchdowns than Vick while running for all of those GD yards. Winning quarterback, Joe Burrow. Burrow was 39-49 for 412 yards, 3 passing touchdowns, and a rushing TD while leading the Bengals to an insane overtime win. Also in a must-win game, and he did it in a game where anytime he didn't touch the ball, bad things happened to his team. Now, he's played out of his mind all year long and became the only quarterback in NFL history to have 8 straight games with 250-plus passing yards and 3 touchdowns. That puts him 2 ahead of Tom Brady and 3 ahead of Peyton Manning, Steve Young, and Aaron Rodgers. That's elite company. Stats and numbers and FDRs are all great ways to identify a good NFL quarterback, but Burrow's composure is off the charts. I think him and Mahomes are honestly on another level in terms of how calm they look in the clutch. Josh Allen might be just as good in the clutch, but he looks like a fucking maniac when the game is on the line, which is why I love him the most. But Burrow essentially led 3 game-winning drives. Once in regulation, twice in OT, he was betrayed by his defense and his special teams, but still got the win. My Joe Burrow award? Well, I gave it to Marvin Mims in my Broncos-Bengals recap. If you want to know why, go check that shit out now. Most irrelevant game? Titans versus Jaguars. Mason Rudolph versus Mac Jones. Someone find me the end of a barrel of a gun, please. Very few people showed up for this game. Big surprise. Losing GM, Trent Baalke, who now has the very distinct honor of having an airplane banner demanding his firing flown over his team stadium while being with 2 different teams. Once in San Francisco and now in Jacksonville, which I've heard they call the San Francisco of the East. Baalke did draft Brian Thomas Jr., and that dude is a beast. My Jameis Winston Award, the anti-game manager award, if you will, fittingly is going to the man J-Mo replaced, Joseph Flacco. Honestly, and the most surprising game of the week, Joe Flacco had an elite Jameis Winston stat line, rifling for 330 passing yards, a perfectly balanced 2 touchdowns and 2 picks, his first interception looking just like a Winston throw. Flacco's second pick and fumble both came in the final 3 minutes just to ensure the Colts would not see the postseason until 2026 at the earliest. The New York Giants had 3 interceptions total heading into this game. Flacco threw them 2, so he nearly doubled their season total of picks. As a Broncos fan, it was a bit odd watching 2 former Broncos quarterbacks play each other. Locke won the Bastard Broncos Award. That was Locke's second 4-touchdown game. He picked apart the Giants with 309 passing yards and a QB rating of 155.3. You know, just the highest passer rating of the weekend. But his play and the Raiders' victory brings me to an important point. Tanking in the NFL really is a myth. Now, it's become a fun thing to meme, but the thing that actually makes the NFL the best sport is the fact that dudes are going down swinging, because it's impossible to convince 53 men to play like ass when a third of their next contracts are going to be based on performance. Avoiding a major losing stat? The Giants. Sure, a win may screw them out of the number 1 pick in the draft, but they won a home game, which means they are not the first team in NFL history to lose 9 home games in a season. Malik Neighbors broke 1,000 yards on the season. New York returned the second half opening kick for a touchdown. I don't know why, but they came to fucking play. And do you want to know what it feels like to get screwed by your neighbor? This is way worse than them reporting you to the HOA. Malik Neighbors should be this week's winning receiver after putting up 177 yards on just 7 receptions and scoring 2 TDs. But he may have cost himself a chance to get the best quarterback to throw him the damn ball next season. You might have lost by doing that, Malik.
How would you feel if that was, in fact, the decision that was made, though, after playing some catch?
I ain't answering that.
Now, remember that trick play the Colts tried to run against the Broncos a couple weeks ago that ultimately cost them the game? Well, the Saints did it correctly. Winning trick play goes to New Orleans. The only way they can do something good.
All the trickeration, the Harlem Globetrotters must be in town.
Losing draft capital, co-honor, going to the Raiders, who handed the Saints a 25-10 loss. My winning tight end, Brock Bowers. He had an incredible season, and in this game, he broke 2 rookie tight end records. He leapfrogged Puka Nacua for most rookie receptions in a season. Bowers has 108 receptions now, breaking Puka's record of 105, and he broke Mike Ditka's yardage record of 1,076 yards as he finished the game with now having 1,144 yards. That record stood for well over a half a century, and credit Brock Bowers for doing it in 16 games. But also remember, Ditka did that shit in 14 games. Did a white corner get an interception? No, but Riley Moss got a stiffy to the face and a knee to the head and got mossed by T. Higgins in the 4th quarter. And out of respect for Tom Grossi and Johnny Barks, I'll give my fuck the refs call of the week to the officials who flagged the Packers for lining up offsides on the field goal attempt at the end of the first half, which gave the Vikings a second shot to make it. Matty LaFleur provided our weekly freakout, while we all squinted to try and see where the Packers were offsides. In a game the Vikings won by just 2, I'd say that extra kick might have been important. If you agree, benchwarmershop.com for your Fuck the Refs coffee. All proceeds do go to fucking those refs. Winning receiver? It's probably T. Higgins, followed by Marvin Mims and Malik Neighbors. But again, I covered those guys and we already talked about Neighbors. Hell, even Trey McBride had 123 yards and caught his first touchdown of the season. But after Sam Darnold got the biggest win of his career, I had to give it to the Vikings receiving core. For starters, the best catch in that game by Justin Jefferson didn't even count because of a penalty, but the impact Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, Jalen Naylor, and TJ Hawkinson all had in that game is why they won. 24 receptions between the 4 receivers. Jefferson led the way with 92 yards, then Naylor, I hardly knew her, with 81, and 69 and 68 from Addison and Hawkinson. 2 touchdowns between them all. Naylor got wide open in the back of the end zone, netting the first completion of over 30 air yards on the Packers defense all season. After Green Bay erased 15 16 of the 17-point lead the Vikings had with a touchdown to the other Malik on the team, Malik Heath. Justin Jefferson made an amazing contested catch coming in clutch, but 'twas the running back Cam Akers who sealed the win for the Vikings, pedaling backwards and grabbing the ball before it hit the dirt. But that four-man crew of ball catchers might be the best in the league. Losing quarterback Aaron Rodgers. Not only is this a season-long achievement for Rodgers, but this was one of the worst games I've ever watched that man play. I knew it was bad with the old eyeball test, but Rodgers finished with a QBR of 1.2, nearly the length of an inverted penis. That was also the lowest QBR since Davis Mills back in 2021. I think if you had to sum up this season of Rodgers in one play, it's this atrocious underthrow where he then yells at the guy who didn't catch his shitty pass. Rodgers needed just one touchdown to reach 500 in his illustrious career, but he couldn't get it done and was yanked before Tyrod Taylor hilariously threw for 2 scores in garbage time of their ritual beating at the hands of the Bills. After the game, Rodgers said he actually benched himself.
It was 33-0. We were sitting there. I said at some point, probably go with Tyrod here, huh? And then the next play, they threw a screen for a touchdown, so...
Rodgers got sacked 4 times in the loss and also threw a pair of picks. Aaron has now been sacked 568 times. Is that why Caleb Williams said he models his game after Aaron? Rodgers surpassed Tom Brady's previous record of 565 sacks, so at least you set one record on Sunday, huh, Aaron? Josh Allen gets our only Mahomes throw of the week. Looking at the entire season, it almost feels like we need to change the only Mahomes award to the Josh Allen award. Josh Allen's is more Mahomes-like than Mahomes right now, but Josh is tied for the most rushing touchdowns in Bills history. Allen, of course, tied the Bills running back who didn't do a double murder, Thurman Thomas. I'm not mad, I am disappointed. That's going to Jordan Phillips, who after picking off Aaron Rodgers' second pass immediately slid down. Robbing us of a big man run? How dare you? Josh Allen has had an amazing season, and now Keon Coleman's learning how to play with Josh. Look at this route. He goes left, then he goes right, and then he goes back left, and leaps for the touchdown. Just keep running around as a receiver and Josh will find you. That's the lesson. Honorable titties goes to Mitch kissing titties throwing a 69-yard touchdown. Nice, 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 nice. Winning running back, no surprise here, Saquon 2K. Saquon Barkley now has 2,003 rushing yards on the season. He's just the 9th back to accomplish the feat. Not only did Saquon accomplish this in 16 games, he did it with the 3rd fewest rushing attempts at 345, ahead of only Barry Sanders and O.J. Simpson, the double murder guy. He and Terrell Davis are the only 2 backs to do it with just 2 fumbles in the process. What I find really impressive is Barkley ripped 167 yards against a division rival who knew they should key on him because Kenny Pickett was starting at QB. Winning defender, in reality it was my Zach Allen, who was probably the best defensive player on planet Earth this week, racking up 4 sacks, but Denver didn't get the win, so it's going to C.J. Gardner-Johnson, who was ejected from the Eagles' loss to the Commanders last week. And he returned with not 1, but 2 interceptions off a Cooper Rush. And on his first pick, Johnson returned that thing 70 yards all the way to the house, giving Philly an early lead that they would never relinquish. Winning benchwarmers, Kenny Pickett and Tanner McKee. This game actually featured 4 backups after Trey Lance came in at the end. Despite that throw I showed in the blops, Kenny Pickett played a pretty damn good game before he got hurt. But I want to focus on Tanner McKee, who played his first ever NFL snap. Nick Sirianni unleashed the most efficient QB in NFL history. Tanner McKee was a late round pick out of Stanford, and in his very first league action, he became the first quarterback in the draft era to have multiple touchdowns in his first 5 passing attempts. What makes this even crazier is one of his incompletions was actually a near TD to A.J. Brown, but Brown could not get both feet in. Once he finally connected with Brown, AJ threw the ball into the stands and lost McKee's first touchdown ball. Thankfully, a gracious Philly fan, oxymoron, I know, was nice enough to return the football. I'll ask it since everyone is wondering. Does Philly have a quarterback controversy on their hands? At the very least, we know that Tanner McKee is the greatest quarterback to ever come out of Stanford. Winning team, I'm giving it to the Chargers. The Chargers have had a lot to lose the last 2 weeks, but they've handled business with key wins. And they're doing it with very team-oriented victories as they lack any true star power outside of their head coach and QB. They might even have a little devil magic on their side right now. If there is a star in the making, it's the next Wes Edelman or Julian Welker, as Ladd McConkey gets better every week. He and J.K. Dobbins accounted for 3 of the Chargers' 4 offensive touchdowns. The Patriots actually traded out of that spot and picked Jalen Polk and Javon Baker instead of McConkey, who have combined for 12 receptions this year. Belichick may be gone, but his history of drafting receivers is stronger than ever. They may have nearly cut off their own damn hands with the revenge dagger, but it's going to Dan Quinn and Olamide Zaccheaus. Ultimately, they defeated the team that abandoned them in overtime, and Zaccheaus was the Commanders' leading receiver with 85 yards and a TD. Losing game management, Raheem Morris. Atlanta deserves a lot of credit for overcoming a 10-point deficit midway through the fourth quarter. Today, we would be saying, call him Penix, because he comes on backs. But after tying it up with a laser to Kyle Pitts, Atlanta had a chance to win after Penix hit a 25-yard pass to Darnell Mooney on the sideline where he was unfortunately held in bounds, but Morris refused to use a timeout, letting 17 precious seconds wind off the clock, which would have given them enough time to run 1, maybe 2 more plays to get a little bit closer than a 56-yard field goal. Winning drive and clutch, Jayden Daniels and the Commanders' offense in overtime. Jayden is how you say very clutch. This season, he has 5 passing touchdowns in the final 30 seconds or in overtime, which is more than any other QB since the 1970 merger. Washington secured their first playoff spot since 2020. Daniels was 9 of 12 for 101 yards and 3 touchdowns and 10 first downs on 3rd and 4th down. He rushed for a $127 in addition to throwing 3 TDs. His only miscue was an early red zone pick. And after winning the coin toss in overtime, he led the offense on a 12-play, 70-yard drive that ate 7:18 off the clock. Not that it mattered, as he threw the game winner to Zach Ertz, but he looked absolutely in control in the most important parts of that game. I already talked about him, but the bed shitters are indeed the Colts.
Their words, not mine.
The G-men were averaging a league worst 14.3 points per game, and the Colts let them put up a 42 spot with their season on the line. Drew Lock usually has 1 elite game per season, and he saved it for Indy, defeating his former non-mentor Joe Flacco. And on Monday Night Football, we got a good old-fashioned shootout. It started with the 49ers touchdown, which came right after my winning block by Jawan Jennings, who blocked through the end zone and into the stands until a fight broke out. Now, you thought it was over, but the Lions did a cool shit on this catch-and-pitch touchdown from Amon-Ra St. Brown to Jameson Williams. Cool shit. Both offenses just kept trading touchdowns back and forth until Brock Purdy finally broke and gave Kirby Joseph the easiest interception of his life and also the 8th of the season, which led to the most Lions play of the season. A touchdown on 4th down to Amon-Ra St. Brown. Losing celebration? Amon-Ra, whipping us all with a belt? And one of the Lions inadvertently spitting on us? Oh, am I actually turned on right now?
Jake Bates is.
The 49ers missed a field goal, the Lions answered with another touchdown, and just for good measure, Brock Purdy followed it up with 1 more interception to Kirby Joseph, and that one definitely sealed the game for the Lions. Hey, let's get a shot of Jake Bates fucking the turf, huh? Put that on Monday Night Football. Somebody in the broadcast booth said that, you know it. Thanks for watching That's Good Sports. Please subscribe here on YouTube. And don't forget, we're 650 signups away from hitting 5,000 at Underdog. If we do that within the week, I bring back the monkey tail beard.